Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Yevamos, Daf Mem Gimel 43. The Gemara here is talking about the Shita of Rabbi Yossi mentioned in the Mishnah a couple dafim ago. Rabbi Yossi says that all the women who were previously married could do Erisin within 90 days, within 3 months. They don't have to wait 3 months to get engaged. To get married, they do. To get engaged, that's Maskana of the Gemara. To get married, they have to wait. To get engaged, they can get engaged within 30 days. But except for who? Except that Almana. Her husband died. If there was a Gerish and they got divorced, then you don't have to wait. If there was the husband died, so then you have to wait at least a month. You have to wait at least a month before you get engaged. Why? Because you have to be knowing 30 days of Avelos for your previous husband. So the Gemara on the bottom of Mem Gimel and Aleph has a question for this. From the two dots, Rav Chisda originally asked from Kibbutz, but then he asked from commerce. We'll see about 4 lines on the bottom. I'm a Rava. 4 lines on the bottom. I'm a Rava. The Kodim, Nami Kavachom. Remember, Makom Shasha Lisa Valite, Motele Ares. During the 9 days, right, starting from Rosh Chodesh Av, you're not supposed to engage in commerce, right? Unless it's absolutely necessary. You're allowed to get engaged, though. It clearly says in the Brisa here, Mem Gilum and Aleph, you're allowed to get engaged. Makom Shemot Lisa Valite, and there's no isser for a woman whose husband died to engage in commerce. She can go start working after 7 days. She can't do malach for 7 days. After 7 days, within 30 days, if it's after 7 days, she could do commerce. Certainly, if she could do commerce, then she get engaged, right? Kavachomer from Tisha B'Av. So the Gemara has problems. The Gemara is trying to answer this question. Finally, the Gemara, the last answer of the Gemara answers this question conclusively. Before the Mishnah, Mem Gimel and Beis, Rav Ashi gives an answer. Rav Ashi, Shiny Avelos Chadash and Avelos Yishana, Shiny Avelos Rab and Avelos Yachid. He says we can't compare the cases. By Tisha B'Av, that's an old Avelos. You're mourning something which happened 2,000 years ago. It's also a public Avelos. Suppose a personal Avelos, you're losing your husband. That is more personal, and also it's fresh in your mind. So therefore, we have to be more machmir, and therefore you can't even get eris, and you can't even get engaged. Toz asked the question. So Rashi explains that basically Gemara is saying that's more makel over here, right? It's not so fresh in your mind. It's more personal. It's not as personal Tisha B'Av. So Tisha B'Av is more makel. Here we're more machmir. It's fresh. It's personal. So therefore you have to be machmir that you can't even get engaged. Toz asked the question. The Kal V'chomer still exists. What do you mean having the Kal V'chomer? Fine. You want to say there's different types of avelos. There's avelos. It's an old avelos. So it's more makel. But the bottom line over there is that still you have to be ma'id, b'masa v'matan. You're not supposed to do, unless it's absolutely essential, you're not allowed to do commerce. You're not engaged in commerce, yet you still can do erisin. So here, even though it's a more chomer avelis, but there's no isser on commerce over here at all. So there's no isser on commerce here at all. Certainly the kal v'chomer still stands, and we should say erisin should be mutter within 30 days. Why is it usher? So to answer this question, I like to suggest the following, that really the Gemara meant to say over here, there's 2 different types of avelis. And you think about it logically, it makes sense. The avelis of Tisha B'Av is a very different type of avelis from when a relative dies, your husband dies. I believe the avelis for a relative is not so much a requirement for you to be sad. That's not what the Torah wants you to be sad. I believe the Gemara in Sukkah says it's avelus. It's atzvus derashus or something like that. Gemara says he doesn't have he is mechayev to do a mitzvah of avelus to mourn his relatives. He doesn't have to be sad though. To be tarud, to be sad. He doesn't have to be tarud. He tir to the rashus. The Gemara says tir to the rashus. It's not called tir to the mitzvah. Tir to the rashus. He doesn't have to be sad. If he wants to be sad, he has to be sad. The purpose of avelus for a relative is not to be sad. It's just to show respect to that relative. Meaning, that's why you don't do a lot of things. You wait 7 days before you go back to work. You wait 7 days before you start shaving, before you're laundering, before you take a shower, things like that. To show respect, and you should sit shiva, and people should give you tanchum for those days to show respect. This person was important. We don't just go back to our regular lives after a relative dies. We give at least 7 days, the closest relatives of the deceased person. We show him respect by not just going back to our regular routines right away. We care about him. We show that he was an important person to us, which he should be important to us if you want to design Krovim. The Avelis of Beis Hamikdash is a communal Avelis, and it has nothing to do with showing respect. It's an Avelis Yeshana. I mean, it did happen many years ago. Us observing Tisha B'Av is not really showing so much respect for that. It's more just to be sad. We're actually supposed to be sad that day. And that's why also the Avelis of Tisha B'Av includes the Chamisha Inuyim, right? Just like you're supposed to distress yourself and cause pain to yourself in a certain respect on Yom Kippur. You have to fast. You have to not wash your hands and other 5 Inuyim. The rest of the 5 Inuyim. So too also on Tisha B'Av, 5 Inuyim apply also, even though it doesn't apply to any other tinus. Why does it apply? Because that's part of the Avelis, part of the Avelis. It didn't Avelis, part of the Avelis to be sad. You're supposed to have Iyun, you're supposed to be sad over the Beis Hamikdash. A relative, you're not supposed to be sad. You don't have to be sad. It just show respect to the dead person. And therefore, what the Gemara is saying is just, it's not that one's more machim and one's more mekil. It's just there's different constructs, different types of Avelis. The Avelis, the purpose of the Avelis of Beis Hamikdash is to be sad, and the purpose of Avelis for a relative is to show respect. So therefore, even though you're right, technically, during the 9 days, you're not supposed to do commerce, right? But you could get engaged. The reason being is that because getting engaged, like the Gemara says, by itself, without a suda is not simcha. To get engaged to someone, it's not so much simcha, it doesn't make you so much happy. So there's no problem. Tisha B'Av is about sadness, doesn't make you so much happy, that's all we care about. But when you start going on Amazon and you start buying things, that makes a person a little happy. So you're not supposed to go on Amazon and buy your happy socks or your Nautica red bathing suit, which I just bought on Amazon. You're not supposed to do those things during Tisha B'Av. It makes you happy. It makes you happy. That's a problem. But when it comes to mourning the death of a person, so after 7 days you engage in commerce, it might make you happy, but it doesn't detract from the respect that you're showing them, right? In a certain regard, you have to do Avelis for 30 days. And one of the aspects of doing Avelis for 30 days is showing respect to them. It's a lot of respect. If you get engaged to somebody else after 7 days after he dies, I mean, it's sort of disrespecting the person you married and saying, I didn't really like you at all. I'm just 7 days right after my veil is over, I'm going to get remarried. You have to wait at least 30 days. It's not because it makes you happy, because you're disrespecting the mate, you're disrespecting the former husband. Commerce is a din of making you happy. It's something about making you happy. There's no problem with being happy. Happiness to detract from the respect. Me being happy, me buying my happy socks on Amazon makes me happy. It doesn't disrespect the mace, but to go and marry somebody else surely disrespects the mace. I believe that's what the Gemara is saying over here, and that's part of the Gemara is saying it's a personal avelis. Personal meaning you're disrespecting the dead person, as opposed to it's a communal thing. It's nothing to disrespect the Beis Hamikdash. It's about being happy that we're sad. We're in Gullus, and it's about being happy as opposed to respect. Hope you enjoyed today's shir. See you in Limun Habishnayos. Mesach Kilayim coming up next.